Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I have a legacy deck that is near and dear to my heart, and this is of course Elves. Elves was the first legacy deck that I really fell in love with, really identified with. That was probably around 2010, back when the deck was killing with Mirror Entity. It was a green-white deck back then, not a green-black deck. We didn't have Craterhoof Behemoth yet. There was nothing good to natural order for. You had to kill by going infinite with Mirror Entity, and it was a totally different world, but then Craterhoof Behemoth was printed and Avacyn restored, and it gave the deck a very different sort of top end, a much quicker kill with natural order. Avacyn restored also came with Terminus, so the Magic Gods giveth and the Magic Gods taketh away. But ever since then, despite Terminus, natural order for Craterhoof is still the best thing we can do to win the game with Elves. This is a donation deck from Patreon patron Chris, and I have 5-0'd with both of the decks that Chris has sent previously, so let's see if we can keep this undefeated Chris deck streak alive. So all that said, if you've never seen Elves before, what we're trying to do is cast Glimpse of Nature, and then cast lots of creatures to draw more cards, and then cast those cards to draw more cards. And eventually, we gain mana along the way and find a natural order or a Craterhoof Behemoth and jam it into play, and then kill the opponent real quick. The way that you keep the mana going: Heritage Druid. Tap 3 untapped elves you control, add green, green, green. This ability gets around Summoning Sickness because tap is not in the activation cost of the ability. It just asks you to tap creatures, which is a different thing. So you could play Heritage Druid and immediately tap 3 elves for mana in the same turn. This combos with Nettle Sentinel, which is an elf, doesn't untap during an untap step. Whenever you cast a green spell, untap Nettle Sentinel. So you tap Heritage Druid and 2 Nettle Sentinels for 3 green. You cast a 1-drop elf, you untap your 2 Nettle Sentinels, then you tap that new 1-drop and your 2 Nettle Sentinels to make 3 green and cast another 1-drop elf. Then you draw a card and you net 2 green mana and draw a card every time you do that. And then it's pretty easy to shred through your deck from there. And like I said, you're just trying to find a natural order or a Craterhoof Behemoth and smash face once you're there. Big upgrades to this deck in the recent years. Allosaurus Shepherd is completely insane. I actually learned this week that this card is $200 in real life, which is horrifying. These low print run supplemental Magic products printing insane bangers into Legacy is kind of a problem, but this card is probably worth every penny because it's totally messed up in a deck like this. 1 green, Elf Shaman, can't be countered, your green spells can't be countered, and you could pay 6 to make each elf you control a 5/5 dinosaur, in addition to its other types. So this card is a 1-drop elf for Heritage Druid. It can't be countered, it makes things uncounterable, so that lets you be really disrespectful of a lot of decks. So forget your Force of Will, forget your Force of Negation, don't care about your Chalice of the Void, jam, 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 you can't stop me, is bad enough. But one of the other things that Elves can fail on is sometimes you just draw a bunch of cards, make a bunch of mana, but you don't find the natural order. And then so you don't really have a win con, and you pass the turn with like 9 1/1s in play, which is usually good enough to win a game, but sometimes it's not. So Allosaurus Shepherd having this 6 mana overrun effect on the bottom, just each elf you control becomes a 5/5 until end of turn. This is also your win condition. It's your setup, it's your win condition, and it synergizes with your engine. And it's like they sat down and they said, how can we push Legacy Elves up a tier? And they designed this card. So very cool card. The other new upgrade is Once Upon a Time, which it's only playing 2 of. This elf deck is pretty good at finding what it needs with Green Sun Zenith and all the card advantage. So it's cool that this exists, but it's not quite the banger that Allosaurus Shepherd is. As far as play patterns with this deck, I described the combo aspect, which can happen as quickly as turn 2 with a good draw. You can also just deploy creatures and draw cards. with Elvish Visionary and the like, and just slowly pull ahead and have like 2 power in play, then 4 power, then 6 power. And a lot of decks can't actually beat that steady stream of 1/1s, so you don't even need to combo. But they need to keep up their answers in case you do, so there's some tension there. Elvish Visionary and Wirewood Symbiote are the best friends club. So when Visionary comes into the battlefield, draw a card, return an elf you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature. So you play Visionary, you draw a card, you tap your Heritage Druid or Birchler Rangers for mana, you pick this up to untap them, then you replay it with the mana you just floated, and you draw more cards. So Elves is actually outdraws most blue decks and outcreatures most aggro decks. And it's very hard to fight Elves on every axis that it is existing on. The one giant problem is Plague Engineer. So the Elves technology has taken on some strange forms in Leyline of Vitality. Creatures you control get +0/+1. Whenever creatures enter the battlefield under you control, you may gain 1 life. So literally 3 sideboard slots dedicated to this stone brick of a magic card that gives your creatures +0/+1. And that's just to survive Plague Engineer. But it's so important that it's worth the slot. Like with Allosaurus Shepherd, like I said, you get to ignore most things, and Plague Engineer is the one thing you don't. So 3 Abrupt Decay, 3 Leyline, and 4 Thoughtseize. Those are the answers to Plague Engineer. And other than that, we're just going to outmuscle everybody. So let's get into this and see if we can maintain the 5-0 streak for Chris. I'm on the play for round 1. I've kept this hand. This has 3 mana on turn 2 and making all the stuff uncounterable. It actually has more than 3 mana because of Gaia's Cradle. It has 4 mana. We could Natural Order on turn 2 if we want. Just have to determine if that's worth doing. And I'm leading on Quirion Ranger because I don't want them to know that I have Allosaurus Shepherd. Like if they commit to a Chalice of the Void this turn, or like try to ponder into Force of Will, those are things that I don't want them to play around if they know about Shep. Also, if they just have a removal spell right now, like if they just Fatal Push, I would prefer it hit this to my Shepherd. This is going to name Natural Order because that's the only thing that makes sense. I guess they could name Glimpse of Nature. We'll see. I think those are the only 2 things that make any sense. Alright, they named the wrong one. So we can Natural Order this turn, I think. Yeah. I'm getting in there. Okay, so can't be countered. Taps for 2. Heritage Druid can't be countered. Taps for 3. Natural Order. Sack Heritage Druid. Find a Craterhoof on this list somewhere. Hoof, there it is. Bounce a Forest to untap Quirion Ranger because it does not have Summoning Sickness. This is not lethal, but it's a big hit. So, put you to 7. Not bad. If I could have snuck another elf into play, I don't think I had that ability. But, alright, they're going to have to go pretty hard on this Hedron Crab to survive, I think. They did find a Vengevine and a Gravecrawler. Oh, there's Hogak. Yikes. Alright, so they actually are going to get Hogak into play here. So, and 2 Vengevines? My goodness. Okay, this Hedron Crab went absolutely fucking bananas. So we're probably actually going to lose this game somehow. Though I guess it depends on... Yeah, they don't know any cards in my hand. If I draw a Glimpse of Nature or a second Natural Order, I can overpower this still. Yeah, this is actually pretty fucked up. Okay, they don't know any of the cards in my hand. But this second they have 2 more therapies. My hand's gonna be functionally empty, they're going to take the Heritage Druid. Yeah, so could I have gotten another elf into play last turn? I don't think so. I think I could have gotten it into play, but not natural order also. Yeah. I think I did my best turn 2. They just had an insane Hadron Crab. Okay, so now Glimpse of Nature is a dead draw. Green Sun Zenith is pretty good. Llanowar Visionary, or Elvish Visionary is pretty good. Oh, no attacks. Put Vengevine into play, no attacks. Coward. I mean, it's the right play, but also coward. So I'm going to play this because it can get Dryad Arbor, which is another creature for both Cradle and the next Craterhoof Behemoth. And I don't have attacks here. Fucking Hogak. Who decided to print that card? Probably the same person who printed Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh, and now I lose. Yeah, they can just deck me with Hogak at this point. They have the bridge already. There's not even any game to play here. Bummer. I thought we had such a good start. And then gacked. It's alright. In come the ley lines. See what we can do. So, ley lines come in. I think we actually might want Progenitus, because it might be a low resource game. Like, Craterhoof Behemoth is better when you can amass creatures in play, but if you have to just... If they are able to produce a bunch of blockers, like with Bridge from Below, that's a problem. So this might be a Progenitus matchup. There is no Scavenging Ooze in this list. Scavenging Ooze is a card that is frequently part of the Green Sun Zenith package, but this list is the pure combo version, like for Nettle Sentinel, for Heritage Druid. This version is not trying to play like a Maverick game, so it makes sense that that's not in the deck, though for this particular matchup, it's kind of lame. And Collector Oof also has options, like I could Zenith for it if I get ahead to make sure they can't kill me with Altar, but if I'm ley lining, then that doesn't matter. And I don't want to sideboard too much because, like I said, this is the pure combo build. It's not really built to play a different kind of game. I guess Allosaurus Shepherd isn't that important for this matchup because they don't have counterspells. The Elvish Visionary Wirewood Symbiote package is very good, but it's usually pretty slow, or too slow in combo matchups. But if we stick a ley line and then need to find a win condition, it's very good. So this is actually kind of close, this decision. I actually think I'm going to bring in the Oof just to make sure I don't die to the thing. And I don't actually know if Hogak plays Plague Engineer. These are the sort of things you need to know if you're playing Elves, and because it's been a minute, I don't actually know. But I have a ley line and other stuff in my opener. This hand's insane. Alright, they're mulling to 5 over there. So I'm going to Zenith for Dryad Arbor on turn 1, and then next turn I'll be able to cast something with Dryad Arbor, tap Cradle for 2, or cast another thing, tap Cradle for 3. This is a pretty explosive hand. And they don't punish non-basic lands, so I'm just going to get my Bayou. Alright, so this hand does need to find something extra. Like I do need a glimpse or a natural order because I'm going nowhere fast. This certainly looks like removal for Leyline. That they either have that or they have nothing, and there's basically nothing in between. So Shepherd, Ranger, and Symbiote. I'm just running these out so I can attack with Dryad Arbor. Like I can activate Shepherd next turn. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I can attack for a bunch next turn. So they mulled to 5 and had to pitch a card to force. Let's see how messed up they can be. And we saw last game that they can definitely just go off on turn 2. Like they could put Hogak into play right now, probably. Because it depends on how good the rest of their hand is. Ooh, that's interesting. So do I pivot onto trying to draw cards? Each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5, 5, and is a dino. So they don't get trample. So if I attack with everything, they're still at 19. They can jump. They can block Allosaurus Shepherd, which forces me to spend all my mana to deal 7 damage to them. Or they could just block Wirewood Symbiote, mess up my whole plan, and all of that kills Stitcher Supplier, which is not something I even want to do. So I'm going to fetch a Bayou here and cast Elvish Visionary and start digging with Symbiote. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're not quite there yet. So tap to untap elves you control, Ranger and Visionary. And then tap Arbor as well, untap Arbor, bouncing Visionary. Draw another card. Okay, so I could attack with Shepherd, but like I said, that all that does is put Stitcher in the graveyard for them. Yeah, so I'm just going to pass and I can hoof them next turn. Just hope they don't go land Plague Engineer here with their 2 cards in hand. Alright, yeah, packed it up. Leyline too strong. Doing elf shit. So they have forces, but there is no reasonable way that I could Thoughtseize a force. It's an instant, so they could just respond to the Thoughtseize with it. So, like, there's basically no backup plan here. It's just Leyline or bust, or just combo them. Yeah, I think this looks fine. The Crater Hoof versus Progenitus decision is actually kind of tough because Hoof is the one that overpowers a medium-sized board if they build out first. But like we saw in game 1, if I hoof first and it's not lethal, then I might need Progenitus to mop up. I guess having the option to do either is good. I don't know, Progenitus is also a super dead draw in the matchup. Alright, forget about Progenitus. I'm here to combo. Progenitus is something you want to do when you know they have Plague Engineer also, because you don't need to build out a wide board, you just need to stick a green creature. Alright, here's one of the problems with Elves. The deck plays 19 lands, 4 of them are Gaia's Cradle, and 2 of them are Dryad Arbor. So there's actually only 14 turn 1 green sources. So you can't be afraid to mulligan. Especially when you boarded in Leyline of the Void. I'm going to keep So this is actually a tough choice what to bottom, and I think that it's Heritage Druid. Like somehow. So Druid, though Druid is the one that lets me explode. Natural Order is what I explode into. If they have Cabal Therapy, they're probably going to name Natural Order. So there's like some layers here. I guess I could just bottom the Forest, because I'm going to Zenith for Dryad Arbor, play Elvish Visionary. That gives me a couple looks at another land, but losing this game because I didn't find another land would feel pretty bad. But you know what? I've convinced myself I do want to do that. Like, each of these cards is so unique in its function that it's not easy to just replace any of them. This is pretty scary. The turn 1 Hedron Crab, still 4 cards in hand. They could have, look at that, rewarded. They could have the Forest pretty easily with room to grow. All right, this looks a lot like the last game. They didn't force. And if they don't force on my turn, then they don't get to force. So they either have some different answer or they don't have an answer at all. And careful studying, like if they had Assassin's Trophy, that would have been one thing. That ramps me though, and against Elves, you don't really want to ramp them. But yeah, this careful study tells me they don't actually have an answer to Leyline. And careful study is card negative. Like, you spend a card to then draw 2, discard 2, so you spend 3 cards to see 2 new ones. So that's good. Just working through this hand is everything. Oh, they're milling me. I guess that makes sense. That is the backup plan, I suppose. Okay, so I want to start with Visionary and see what happens. Always save your land drop if you could still draw Cradle this turn. All right, that's not a Cradle. It is pretty good, though. So, yeah, I guess I'm just not beating Plague Engineer anyway. So or at least not in any hurry. Like, I have a Dryad Arbor. I can still Natural Order next turn, even if they have Plague Engineer this turn. They just need to not mill both my Crater Hoofs, and we'll be okay, I think. Alright, yeah, they're just playing random shitters. They are holding up Assassin's Trophy right now. Okay, so time to math how big I can make my hoof. If I play Wooded Foothills and fetch for the second Dryad Arbor, I can sack Dryad Arbor with Summoning Sickness to Natural Order, and that ends up with 1 more creature in play for my hoof. If I play Heritage Druid, tap my 3 Elves. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Like, I'm gonna Heritage Druid, tap my 3 Elves, or fetch first, then tap my 3 Elves for mana. Like, I have Quirion Ranger that can untap one of these Elves. This puts the most creatures in play when I order. So I'll have 3 attackers, including the hoof. Yeah, and we're just outmuscled. They had an impressive game 1, but just a little disruption was all I needed to get over the finish line. On to the next one. I'm on the draw here in round 2 with a pretty mediocre hand, honestly. I have a line to Natural Order, kinda. Like, I have 2 mana, but none of these Elves tap 4 mana. The 2 Nettle Sentinels go off with a Heritage Druid. The Shepherd is great with a Cradle. Glimpse doesn't help a whole lot, and I already have one of the hoofs. But like we talked about last round, the deck only has 14 turn 1 green sources, So taking on Mulligan from any playable hand is usually kind of dangerous. So I'm going to keep this because there's a good chance we mull into one of those like only Cradle or only Dryad Arbor hands, and then we're straight to 5. So I'm just going to keep this medium hand and trust the top of my deck. Julian Nab, the Elves expert and streamer, it's Julian.com. He has said before he plays Elves like he always has Vampiric Tutor. Like there's some amount of just faith you have to have in the deck. Play to your outs and hope to draw them in a lot of the situations. And that is, I believe, a smart thing. Oh god, I hope they don't play Cabal Therapy. Luckily, I think Natural Order is scary enough that even if they had Therapy, they're not naming Nettle Sentinel with it, especially if they think it's a 1-for-1. Also, I doubt they're going to have Cabal Therapy. Unless they are some sort of seriously dedicated combo deck. And they could definitely be a combo deck. Like, this could be Ad Nauseam Tendrils or Doomsday. So the Ponder did not shuffle. Flooded Strand is generally not in Doomsday. Oh god. Quads. Alright, so I'm going to attack with Nettle Sentinel before I cast spells because it doesn't untap on its own. You need to cast a green spell to untap it. So if you're not winning the game this turn, you generally want to attack with your Nettle Sentinel and then cast your spell second main. And this is where Elves is very different from other combo decks, because right now what we're doing is we're failing to combo. Like, not only was our hand not already good at comboing, but we also got Thought Seized, but our Dark Rituals are also 1/1 and 2/2 creatures. So unlike Storm, where when it doesn't come together you just have nothing, we're at least applying pressure. And I'm respecting Terminus here. They showed me a white source. They just resolved a cantrip. Like, I'm not going to overextend with my Nettle Sentinels. I can fetch Dryad Arbor in the end step if I want to push that direction. But I'm not sure if I do. It'll depend on what they do. Okay, Dryad Arbor is definitely not going to help me in the face of a Baleful Strix. I guess fetching Dryad Arbor gives me the out to draw Cradle and jam Natural Order this turn. But they've done a lot of cantripping, and they took the Shepherd over the Natural Order with the Thoughtseize. So they clearly are trying to sculpt a game plan that involves counterspells. I am not going to fetch Dryad Arbor because I am just worried about a sweeper. That was among the best draws. Now I get to attack. If they're super smart, they're going to force this. Because this represents so much damage around the Baleful Strix. Yeah, now I get to attack, and instead of getting a trade, I get to pick up my creature. Oh wow, they didn't even block. What's going on over there? Okay, so no block is sus. I guess if they were going to Wrath, they would block for sure. Right, I'm going to commit another Sentinel to this board. That might end up killing me. Like, if they have the Wrath. But it's already super punishing, and I can pick up one of the Sentinels in response. And not blocking there is super weird. What are they doing with this Strix? Are they some sort of transmute artifact deck? Okay, that's what they're doing with the Strix. Always give your opponent some credit. Like, I never said it's dumb, I said it's suspicious. Like, they obviously had a plan for this thing. The good news is that I have all my 2/2s in play, so they can mess with the symbiote, but they can't kill a second thing this turn. The bad news is I am completely fucked after that. Now I need them to mess up. If they just pick off symbiote, then I'm in trouble. Cradle. Let's draw Cradle. That's not Cradle. Right, I do get to attack for a bunch right now, though. Right, picking off Symbiote still sucks, but it is what it is. Alright, there's nothing to pick up here. I'm just gonna have to try to overwhelm this Jitte with creatures. Yeah, now that the game ended up exactly how it did, I regret not deploying everything as aggressively as possible. Like, I'm pretty sure if I just used all my mana every turn to cast these Nettle Sentinels, I would have dealt the extra 4 damage by now. But yeah, so Puma's Elves Jitte is among the most horrific cards for Elves players to have to beat. And now we're just in a race. So they can pick off a Nettle Sentinel and gain 2 life, and then they're still dead on board. They can gain 6 life and go to 10, and then they're still at 2. So I'm winning the race right now, but they have 5 cards in their hand, and any removal spell, any blocker, any any support for this Jitte is going to break it in their direction. Guess I just have to hope to draw a land and that natural order resolves. That's the whole plan. All right. The most useless card in my deck right now is that one. All right. We're dead to a Snapcaster. We're not dead to the board. If their hand is 4 counter spells, we win. All right. Yeah, now we're fucked. So now they have to decide if they want to gain 4 life or kill a... Oh, geez, they had both. All right. Yeah, we're out of here. GG. All right, this is a Progenitus matchup. This is also going to be a Plague Engineer matchup. I am fairly certain. Collector Oof plays. So this is a pretty big sideboard if I'm going for all of it. So I'm going to lay it out, see what it looks like. If you think you're going to be in a low resource game, it's reasonable to shave on Glimpse of Natures, or like a slow game. Like Elvish Visionary plus Wirewood Symbiote does a lot of work in slow games, and then you can play this Abrupt Decay sort of thing instead of being committed to the combo. I don't think Allosaurus Shepherd is cuttable. Heritage Druid is actually the worst elf in the deck when you're not comboing, so I don't mind shaving a little low on those. But I do want to keep a critical mass of ways to cast Natural Order, so you can't shave too low, because there's no Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystic, Fyndhorn Elves in this particular list. Yeah, Ranger is good. Sentinel's medium. I think the rest of these cards are mostly good, but I have to pick one. And maybe it is Quarian Ranger. It's either Quarian Ranger or Nettle Sentinel. Alright, I mean, Nettle Sentinel survives Plague Engineer on its own, so I'm gonna play it like this. Yeah, so it is awkward. Like I mentioned in the deck tech in the previous round, this build doesn't have a robust Green Sun Zenith package with like Scavenging Ooze and Reclamation Sage and all of those things that you would probably like to have in a grindy matchup like this. This one is tuned to be a combo deck, and I hope that I'm not completely breaking that plan by boarding the way I am, like bringing in these 8 cards. Like maybe I'm just supposed to bring in the ley lines and try to combo this deck out and just do a 3-card package, but is what it is. Oh, I have the ley line. I also have Dryad a no mana hand. I'll keep it for science. I think I actually lead on Cradle and not on Dryad Arbor. Because if I Cradle go, then I can play Dryad Arbor next turn, tap Cradle, and get an Elf into play. If I Arbor go, and they have Swords to Plowshares, I don't have any path to mana for a while. Alright, let's hope this works. Please don't suddenly be a Wasteland deck. Alright, that's not Wasteland. It is a white source, though, and I'm going to be pretty glad I played around Swords to Plowshares, I think. I guess I don't need to float mana in response to the trigger. Alright, always yield to this, apparently. Yes, always yes. I always want my life. Thank you. So I'm going to lead on Heritage Druid, because I care about that one less than Birchlore Rangers. So if they have 2 plows, I'm probably in lots of trouble. Though just drawing a forest would totally change that math. Alright, going after Heritage Druid is either a mistake or they have a second removal spell. Because Heritage Druid doesn't do anything, and Dryad Arbor represents 2 mana. Okay, that was kind of lame, but mostly fine. Alright, here's my board. So my Heritage Druid has protection from removal because of the symbiotes. I have a bunch of mana. Now I can start crunching for 4 at a time. My hand's already empty, so discard is now blank. I have enough mana to cast Natural Order. Glimpse of Nature is a terrible draw. Elvish Visionary is my best draw. Let's see how this goes. Zenith 4 Visionary I would also accept. Allosaurus Shepherd actually plays pretty well on this board. It gives me 10 power to attack with next turn. Yeah, they're thinking. Maybe they just have Plague Engineer and I played around it. Alright, Strix, whatever. So they went Strix, then post-Strix land Ponder. I wonder if they found the land off the Strix or the Ponder off the Strix, because I think you Ponder first if you have... I bet they had the land and they found the Ponder. Well, there's the Shep. So can I do anything good with that this turn? I can get it into play at least, and this is also protected from removal. Though a Death Touch creature is pretty good. And I do not have a way to untap Dryad Arbor in play. I can make 5 mana, but this costs 6 to activate. So if they like Toxic Deluge for 2 right now, I pick up Heritage Druid and Allosaurus Shepherd with my symbiotes, and then I lose all my mana and probably die. We'll see how it goes. It's basically up there what their deck is capable of doing versus my top decks right now. I've done what I was supposed to do. I got him to Taract, and now I need to find a natural order. Like, I have the Shep in play, but if they have a removal spell and a counter spell, they can remove the Shepherd in response to my spell and also counter the spell. Sometimes these decks just have fewer counterspells in them after sideboard because of Shepherd. Like, they just figure, I'm going to have to beat them on the board, which would be great if true. But that also means they have every removal spell in their deck in. I'm hoping their hand is just like a Plague Engineer that can't do what it wants to do. They're certainly taking their time to think about it, though. Oh no, not this again. Well, the good news is, if they attack with this Jitte, then I have an uncontested attack on the way back, which may or may not involve Allosaurus Shepherd. So they have to minus on the Arbor or the Symbiotes, or they just lose their counters for no reason. Okay, they're going after the Symbiotes. That is smart. Leyline is pretty good here. Alright, natural order. That's not natural order. That does protect Dryad Arbor from being messed up, though. So, is there a way I can get a big attack in here? I have 4/5 mana. Yeah, I think I have 5 mana no matter how you slice it. Or, I actually... With Heritage Druid, I can have more mana than that, but... that's not really... That would involve tapping all my elves to get the mana to activate my elves. That's not where I want to be. Yeah, 5. Yeah, that's just one short. So that using the Jitte as actively as they did makes a lot of sense, because they did just save themselves 8 damage by picking off that one creature, or else I would have been able to activate Cradle, or use Cradle to activate Shep. Yeah, I think them surviving that last round of combat was the big deal. Because now they're untapped with this handful of spells, and they'll have some follow-up. This natural Jitte is still active. No Stoneforge Mystic, just in the hand. I think if they had Plague Engineer, they would have played it before they used their Jitte, because then they could have gotten 2 removals instead of 1. We'll see. Still hoping to draw Natural Order. Oh no, we're fucked. Yikes. Wow. Absolute destruction. Alright, I'm dead. GG's. Yeah, the blue decks, when they have the tools to pick you apart, collapse your house of cards, that is certainly a thing that can happen. Sorry, Chris, the 550 dream is dead. Let's try to salvage a 4-1. I'm on the play with this solid hand. I'm going to keep it. Oh, we're playing against the daddy. He usually plays Dredge. So, I probably just want to go as fast as possible. Alright, so I'm going to play out my Heritage Druid first, because I think that's the most likely card to blind name off Cabal Therapy, because I don't have a Glimpse or a Natural Order, which are the other things you would name with Cabal Therapy. That's assuming he is actually on Dredge, but he is known for that. So, the cool thing, like I said in the deck tech, Allosaurus Shepherd, like this hand, if this was just Llanowar Elves or something, would desperately need some sort of payoff. Like this needs a Glimpse, it needs a Natural Order, needs a Zenith, needs a Wire or a Elvish Visionary to start going with Wirewood Symbiote. Like, desperately needs something, but Allosaurus Shepherd having that bottom line of text is the something. It's so messed up. Speaking of messed up, here's a turn 1 LED Dredge play. So they're going to Dredge at least 4 times right now. Grave Troll. Oh, they blanked. They missed on their Dredge. That's great. So they're going to Dredge 11 more cards this turn. But they did miss on one of them, and I'll take that straight to the bank. Alright. Here's everything. No Cabal Therapy. There is Hogak that will come out next turn. 3 bridges. Jeez. A natural order would be nice. Alright, there's the Visionary. How deep can I go this turn? So, Nettle Sentinel, Gaia's Cradle, Allosaurus Shepherd. Maybe I'm just supposed to play Visionary first. Not sure if it matters. Then Wirewood Symbiote. Yeah, I think if I played Visionary first, I would have gotten another cast of Visionary this turn. But as it stands, I think I just have to pass. I'm out of mana. So they have the Icarid, 2 Icarids, which will trigger 3 bridges. Yeah, I just think leaving my hand empty for Cabal Therapies makes more sense than picking up the Visionary. They are on Slow Dredge. They're Hellbent. They're out of things to do with that. Like there's no Cephalid Coliseum coming. There's no breakthrough, but they're hitting 3 bridges on the first turn is pretty serious. And the good news is if they attack with the Icarids, I can block and nuke all their bridges, which denies them a lot of zombies. Yeah, so they're just going to cast Hogak and then probably pass the turn. Or they might attack with Narcomoeba, because that's pretty free. And in the end step, I'm going to pick up Elvish Visionary with Wirewood Symbiote. Because that's just another draw for next turn. And with Cradle, I have enough mana to get it into play. Basically need to natural order this turn, though, or I'm in trouble. Alright, I mean, we can start with that. Glimpse. And then Visionary with my floating mana. Draw 2 cards. Always yield to that. I should not always yield to Nettle Sentinel, because sometimes it matters that you respond to something with it. I found a second Visionary. So I can untap Heritage Druid with Shepherd to get extra mana. Is mana or cards going to be my gate this turn? And I think the gate's going to be cards, not mana. So I'm going to fetch Bayou just to thin a land out of my deck, and cast the second Visionary, leaving Cradle available. Alright, found natural order. Now how deep can we go? Tap these 3. Draw another card. Found Zenith also. Very nice. So now that I have the second elf, I can untap Allosaurus Shepherd with this Elvish Visionary and get 3 more mana. Alright, finding a second Zenith. We should be able to win this game. Just need to do things correctly from here. So I can Zenith for another Nettle Sentinel. X equals 1. Nettle Sentinel. This feels good to get revenge on a graveyard deck. Remember when it went off in round 1 and then died to a graveyard deck? They just went off and now they're going to die to the Elves deck. Yes. And now with 2 Nettle Sentinels, any elf is multiple mana, like basically free nets mana. So now I'm going to untap my Shepherd, bouncing Elvish Visionary again. And mana. There's a good chance I'll end up with both Craterhoof Behemoths in play at the end of this turn, or when I attack this turn. Then tap these. More Elf. And I still haven't tapped Cradle. You always save Cradle for last. Because these are all free. Like, they're netting mana off the Heritage Druid, but then they're also free later for Cradle. So I'm going to Zenith for another Wirewood Symbiote. Or I could just hoof twice right now, but I might as well Zenith. What the hell? Yeah, so Zenith for Wirewood Symbiote. Whoops. I just, forgot to make 3 mana, but I'll do it now. It's not too late. Minor, misclick. We'll make it work. All right, Wirewood Symbiote. So Wirewood Symbiote can pick up. All right, so untap something that can attack this turn. So I'll target Heritage Druid. I'm gonna pick up Elvish Visionary. Then cast Visionary. Yeah, I got a little lazy with my clicking operations because the path to victory is already directly in front of me. Then I guess I can just keep going. I'm just I'm stunting for the camera right now. I could just cast these 2 natural orders, get my 2 hoofs, and win. I also have not done the math of how many attacker or blockers they actually have, so I don't think it's gonna matter. Like, I can't imagine it does. But all right, so then natural order. Who doesn't matter? I don't need 2 Elvish Visionaries anymore. So let's kill your bridges and get a hoof. This 1 hoof will be plenty, but I'm gonna get the other one too. If they don't concede. And then natural order again. Nice Hogak. 29/29 trample. And I even have this to untap this because it does not have summoning sickness. I think this should do enough damage. All right, yep. Blammo. Taking game 1 off Dredge, just being a better combo deck. Now we bring in the ley lines and hope for the best. Once Upon a Time. Probably going to be Nonce Upon a Time for this matchup. And it's either Shepherd or Visionary. Like, Visionary is really slow in this matchup. Shepherd, they're not going to counter my spells anyway. But being a 1-drop to feed Cradle and Heritage Druid matters. This is also one of my payoffs for the overrun effect. I think I'm going to shave a Visionary for this matchup. And I also think that I'm going to have to combo them or brick them with Leyline. I don't think that a medium slow Progenitus game is likely to occur in this matchup. So yeah, this looks good to me. Submit the deck. If there's a game 3 where I'm on the play, I might want the Thoughtseize just to like strip an LED or something, but I probably just don't. It feels good to just have your Leyline in the 7. All right. The daddy's on 5. So let's hope that they were mulling for a playable hand and not for a hate card. Hello, Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright, so my hand's kind of chunky, but that's okay. That's what Leyline's for. Hopefully it buys time to dechunkify this hand. Alright, they had no end-step Nature's Claim, no end-step Force of Vigor. Their hand cannot answer Leyline. I'm fairly confident of that. At least it couldn't before this draw step, so let's see where this goes. If they start using Faithless Lootings just to dig for counter hate, then I'm going to be pretty happy. Alright, there's no way this hits. You don't blind name Heritage Druid. You name Natural Order. Oh, wow! He's so smart! Alright, named Heritage Druid. Alright. I don't think that's right or reasonable, but it is certainly what just happened. Alright, fair enough. I guess maybe if there's multiple layers of hate where they're just trying to bridge the gap into the next round of disruption, that's a reasonable thing to do. Or figuring like I can't answer Glimpse and Natural Order, and I don't want to guess wrong, and Heritage Druid is the payoff for both. So maybe it was a super smart name. Time to hard cast Inkweed Imp. Oh, casting Breakthrough, where X is 2. That works too. I actually prefer this to the Stinkweed Imp thing. And now I actually have the mana to cast the second Leyline if they find the answer to the first one. But that does give me some hesitation of... I guess we'll figure out if it's an instant or if they want to do it on their main phase. Like, this fetch land is my second black source, but it's also my second Dryad Arbor. And which one is actually more important? I'm going to get the Dryad Arbor. I'm going to plan for the best, not for the worst. And if they have an instant way to remove my Leyline, I'm probably just getting run over anyway. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, I can hoof next turn. Alright, moment of truth. Do you have it? Nope. Okay. Alright, they're getting hoof next turn. Unless they have, like, Firestorm or some way to remove a bunch of creatures at once. They're not even hardcasting Imps or Thugs, or Narcomoebas, so I'm wondering what their hand actually is. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hoof, there it is. In we go. Stern Dismissal. Oh, that's great. They had to use their Stern Dismissal to be at 1 life instead of removing my Leyline. I don't even care. They can't tap 2 of these 3 lands, and the other dies when they tap it. Yeah. Alright, thank you for your service, Leyline of the Void. Though we did win game 1 as well, so GG's. Round 4 coming. On the play in round 4 with a full no-lander, not even a fake land like Cradle, just actual none. That's an easy mulligan. Into a powerful hand. I'm going to keep this. So, I have the best friends crew of Symbiote and Visionary lined up. Nettle Sentinel is the thing that goes fast if I want to do that, but I don't have Heritage Druid, and I'm going to Zenith for Arbor on turn 1. So, Nettle Sentinel is not going to have a friend to turn it on, and in that case, all it is a green 1-drop, and Wirewood Symbiote is also that. So I'm going to ship the Sentinel. There's a little bit of tension in post-board games whether you fetch Bayou for your turn 1 Green Sun Zenith, because you'd want to play around Wasteland, but Dryad Arbor already plays into Wasteland. So there's a little bit of insulation there. But in game 1, you just get the basic because there are no black spells. They're all in the sideboard. I hope this is a Ponder and not a Thoughtseize or a Fatal Push. Bummer. The good news is this combo is good, and this is also good. I bet they will actually take the Symbiote. I think that's what I would take in this hand, especially if I have any counterspell backup. Alright. It's your game to play. So Wirewood Symbiote, Cradle, Elvish Visionary. So I can cast 2 Visionaries this turn. I could play around Daze. Ooh, that's interesting. So I can Visionary twice. Like, tap this, untap it, tap it, cast Visionary. That plays into Daze. Or I could just jam the Shepherd and put the game on the board. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to do that. So 4, 5, 6. I can crunch for 11 next turn. Or I can play this Dryad Arbor. So that's 5, 6. I'm attacking for 5, 10, 11, 12. So some Grixis deck with Thoughtseize and Baleful Strix in it. How would I like to play this game? If I make a big attack right now, I can remove the Strix and deal 5, 6, 7 damage, put them to 10. 10 is not dead, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play Sentinel. I guess if I had thought about this more, I would have bounced Visionary in the end step, and I have made a mistake by not doing that. Right, Dryad Arbor, tap, float, Symbiote, untap this. Maybe I'll just draw a Natural Order and all is forgiven. Not quite a Natural Order there. I could activate and serve, but then I'm just trading my Shepherd for their Strix. My worry is that I probably should have attacked with Dryad Arbor. I don't think they would have blocked it, and also I don't care if they do. So yeah, that Dryad Arbor should have attacked. And I'm definitely going to pick up Visionary at the end step. I missed a draw, and every draw matters here. Like, I just didn't do the combat math. Alright, doesn't matter. So that's the game 1 plan I was talking about, where a lot of decks can't just beat 6/1/1s. Like, I didn't combo, didn't find a payoff, but didn't need it. So this is definitely Plague Engineer deck. It's probably going to be a scrappy low resource matchup. Thoughtseize is mostly for disrupting faster combo decks. I don't think I'm going to have room for a bunch of Thoughtseizes in this matchup. Like, Allosaurus Shepherd removes the need for Thoughtseize in control matchups, because you used to bring in Thoughtseize to clear the way for your Natural Order, and now you just ignore it. So 1 Hoof, 2 Once Upon a Times. This is not a good Glimpse matchup, which means it's not a good Heritage Druid matchup, which means it's not a good Nettle Sentinel matchup. It is nice how those things just cascade. Like, once you remove one piece of the engine, all the enabler pieces get to slide out as well. Alright, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know if I need all 3 Abrupt Decays and the 3 Ley Lines, but Plague Engineer is just such a beating that I probably just do want all of it. I'm going to keep this hand. It has a very fast Natural Order. Even, like, them on the play is kind of tough. Alright, that not getting Thoughtseize is nice. But yeah, setting up the best friends crew on turn 2 like I did last game, this is the exact same draw that I had last game that involved me drawing 2 extra cards very early. And this line also sets up a dryad, an insect, and an elf. So there's, like, Plague Engineer doesn't sweep me, it just breaks up what I'm doing. Which is also lame, but it's not like losing 3 elves right away. This should look familiar because you've seen it before. Alright, I am gonna do the thing that I didn't do last game, which is draw 2 cards right now. I'm now confident they're not a Daze deck. Finding the black source there was nice. That turns on Abrupt Decay if they have the Plague Engineer this turn. Engineer is just becomes a 2-for-1. It kills something when it arrives, then it gets the Abrupt Decay out of my hand. Oh. What is this Badlands? Weird. Okay. So now it's time to figure out what they actually care about. Alright, Elf was still the answer. I guess I should have bounced Visionary in response. But getting them to commit to naming Elf wasn't the worst. So I could just cast Natural Order right now, though I don't love the implications of that getting countered when I could just play the slow game. I Zenith. What do I Zenith for? Oh, I Zenith for Allosaurus Shepherd, definitely. Allosaurus Shepherd. And get in for 2 and see where this goes. See if they have a second Engineer. If they do, I have a second Abrupt Decay, and this time I will bounce my Elf in response. And if they try to get clever and name Insect, I'll just redeploy this Elf Natural Order and pummel them with Progenitus. Yeah, they still just name Elf? Okay. Yeah, definitely wish I had an Elvish Visionary looping right now. Like, I'm pretty sure I could if I just played correctly. Alright, please don't have Veil of Summer. So, I think I want to Glimpse now. Or I could just resolve Natural Order, probably. They would need, like, Fatal Push plus Force of Will to stop a Natural Order right now. I pay 1 for Shepherd. I pay 1 for Rangers. Then Cradle taps for 4. Sacking probably Ranger, and it gets Progenitus. Or I could Glimpse, play Birchlore Ranger, draw a card, play Shepherd, draw a card. Ooh, can I do both? So, Glimpse is 1 mana, Shepherd is 1 mana. Then I have to tap this for 3. I have 2 floating, which plays the Shepherd. I can tap the 2 Elves for 1, which is 3. Then I can bounce an Elf to untap Dryad Arbor, which is 4. Yeah, I can actually just do both. Unfortunately, you have to lead on this and not the Shepherd. Getting Glimpse countered is lame, but casting Glimpse with only 1 creature in your hand is also lame. Alright, so then make a green. Then we untap this by bouncing this. Then we cast Natural Order. I guess I sack my Dryad Arbor. Okay, so Crater Hoof can do some damage. Crater Hoof attacks for 8 plus 3, 10 this turn. It's a 2-turn clock with Crater Hoof that is susceptible to removal, or I could just get Progenitus and make it a 3-turn clock. That's a lot harder to beat. Didn't even attack with my symbiote. Who needs it? Alright, yeah, they're just dead to Progenitus. Alright. Good thing I boarded in every Abrupt Decay. I was talking about do I need all three, and apparently, yes. Not bad. On to the last round. Alright, drew another effective no-lander. Mulligan that. Alright, this one's a keep. And I'm going to bottom probably Bayou. No reason to expose myself to Wasteland more than I need to. But again, like I said, the Zenith for Dryad Arbor already exposes me to Wasteland. Grove of the Burn Willows is just absolutely terrifying. I'm not going to lie. Please crop rotate it away. They're probably going to play Exploration. Reclaimer, okay. So Grove of the Burn Willows, complete nightmare. I guess I have to commit all the same to this Dryad Arbor. This is a Progenitus matchup, but unfortunately that card lives in the sideboard. However, this is the first look at a powerful Glimpse of Nature, turn 2. If I don't get fired immediately. Alright, so the Rishadan port is pretty lame, but if they want to hold up Elvish Reclaimer, then they're not going to be able to use it. And this doesn't make red, so I'm not getting fired. Also, the Quirion Ranger undoes a lot of the work Rishadan port would do. Oh my god, you're dead. Yeah, drawing Cradle is fucked up there. So, Glimpse of Nature. And by you're dead, I mean that was a good draw. They're not actually dead yet. It's going to be up to my deck to produce a string of creatures from here. I guess I have to play the Cradle. Or I can... Yeah, I can bounce the Forest, untap. Yeah, I don't have to play Cradle yet. So untap this by bouncing this. Make sure you don't misclick and accidentally bounce your Dryad Arbor to untap itself. That's a bad move. Alright, so now Cradle gets an extra mana than it would have otherwise. I'm very interested in finding a Heritage Druid sooner than later. The good news is Wirewood Symbiote plus Dryad Arbor means that every symbiote is another draw for Glimpse. Because I can pick up an elf, use the Dryad Arbor to cast that very same elf. They can rotate into Tabernacle with their Reclaimer, which is something I'm not a huge fan of. Untap this by bouncing this. Alright, Zenith. It might be too late for Zenith. I needed this Zenith when I still had a mana floating so I could get Heritage Druid. So now I'm just going to draw some extra cards and pass the turn and hope that they don't have Tabernacle and Wasteland. But they can get both because they have Reclaimer. If they just rotate into Wasteland, untap, waste me, then rotate into Tabernacle, I lose. Yeah, that fell just a little short. It was a pretty explosive turn, but it's not going to do it. Yeah, there's the Wasteland. Yeah, Reclaimer, too good here. Gives them too much selection. If they had to just, like, draw or crop rotate into both of those lands, we would have maybe had a chance, but the fact that they just get them all is no good. Yeah, they even drew a shitty land to rotate away. I'll just concede to this Tabernacle. Yep. Alright, we're dead. There might have been some way to play through that, like pick up 2 elves with my symbiotes, Dried Arbor taps to protect itself, some things die, and then like we play on a little longer, but I mean, there's no realistic path forward there. So that sucks, but it is what it is. I think Abrupt Decay and Progenitus are both things I want here. Leyline is good against lands, but it's not like the game is going to go to the point where loaming becomes super important. Like, I am a combo deck at the end of the day. Allosaurus Shepherd probably doesn't matter much. I do want the full glimpsing and sentinel action. Like, I want to out combo this deck. I don't think I get 2 hoofs if I want Progenitus. That's too many fatties. Leyline of Vitality is like kind of funny because if I gain 1 life, then I get an extra turn off of Merit Lage, but I don't think that's what this game's going to be about. I'm going to try to go fast. I could bring in the ley lines to play through the Punishing Fires and try to go mid-range, but I'm going to bring in Abrupt Decay for stuff like Sphere of Resistance and whatever, if they have that sort of thing. But in general, this is going to look a lot like my main deck. But 1 more card's got to cut. Maybe it's just Shepherd, because that doesn't do a whole lot for the matchup, unless they have Chalice, but I'm bringing in the Decays for that. So, here it is. That last game was very close. If I found Heritage Druid, I win, but I just came a little short. This hand's good. Kind of looks a lot like the last hand. I think maybe I'm supposed to just fetch land pass. And because if I fetch for Dryad Arbor, that gives me an extra mana off Cradle, and I can draw cards off. Oh no, I can't do that anyway. So, yeah, the Dryad Arbor casts Glimpse, and then I use Cradle to cast a creature, and then I'm out of mana. So, no, that doesn't matter. Though I think getting Dryad Arbor might still be good. No, I think getting an elf into play, in case I draw another elf, and I can just have 3 elves right away. That sounds better. And I'm going to play Shepherd, because that's the one I care less about. Alright, how fucked are we? Do you have Punishing Fire already? Just a nice slow loam. I'll take that. So I can glimpse into Heritage Druid, or I could just play my land and attack and pass. Maybe I should Abrupt Decay this Mox Diamond, actually. That exposes me to Wasteland. But I think if they're on this like slow loam plan, and I can deny their mana acceleration, that sounds reasonable to do. They found a sphere, which is, or no, they didn't find it, they milled it. They milled a Wasteland. I will feel kind of stupid if they cast Sphere right now and I just use my Abrupt Decay on something else. Okay, so they have a Wasteland in hand for next turn. I would like to draw a 1-drop. Shit. Alright, well, I gotta try to make a move here. 1-drop. Thank you. I'm gonna hang this Cradle out in front of the Wasteland, because I kind of want to keep my Bayou, and I have this backup Cradle anyway. And with Allosaurus Shepherd, this Cradle represents a lot of damage. Alright, got him. 1, 2, 3. They had the fire too. Oh no. It's starting to fall apart. Alright, backup Cradle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. That's not enough. 7. Or I could fetch for... Yeah, I can fetch for a Dryad Arbor. Like, they can Loam Waste again, but they're pretty far behind on that exchange. And I can hoof them next turn if they don't come up with something better than that. Alright, so they just took a draw. They didn't even dredge the Loam. They have Punishing Fire, that kind of sucks. If they can crop rotation into Glacial Chasm, that's also rough, but they didn't have an Exploration. They haven't been able to accelerate at all this game, which is nice for me. A Glacial Chasm's not going to protect them forever. Alright, yeah, just firing that off in the end step on the Bayou, which lets me get Dryad Arbor uncontested right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can hoof right now. I could also Zenith for another Arbor and hoof. Alright, so there's Cradle. Is there something I can do with this Zenith? So 4. Yeah, I can at least Zenith for Dryad Arbor. There is still one in my deck, right? Let me just check my graveyard that they haven't wasted one already. Alright. Get Dryad Arbor. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 hoof, 2 attackers. This should do it. Yep. Okay. I'm not sure if Abrupt Decaying the Mox Diamond mattered a lot, but it certainly felt like I was ahead because they never jumped ahead. They were just like loaming 1 land back return and then wasting 1 land while I filled the board. So that actually did feel really good. If we're playing a game like that, so I guess without the ley lines in, then I am committed to shoving as hard as I can, and if they have the Tabernacle Glacial Chasm, I just lose. But if they have Tabernacle Glacial Chasm and I have Leyline, then I can eventually work through that, and that does take off most of their hardlock options. I'm just not sure if that's how I'm supposed to play this game. Sphere of Resistance is confirmed, so the Abrupt Decays are good. Yeah, this is tricky. Lands are tough because they have so many different game plans. Like, if I mulligan to a 6 that has Leyline and then they just make Merit Lage on turn 2, I'm an idiot. Alright, forget it. I'm gonna put this same deck back in. Let's just combo them. I think that's my best plan in the matchup, even though other plans do exist. Every fucking time. Alright, so I don't think I can mulligan this hand. It has Glimpse. I'm going to keep it. This Progenitus is already a Multi 6, but I don't know that a Multi 6 would be better than this 7-card hand. Shit. Well, now they have Exploration this game. Oh no. They're both here. We're starting to catch the backhand of the awkwardness of Elves. I'm going to get Dryad Arbor because I'm trying to set up as juicy a Glimpse as I can for next turn. Yep, there's the turn 2 Dark Depths. That's the thing I said would just embarrass me no matter what I do. Alright, so Glimpse of Nature, let's go. Maybe we can scare them into delaying their start. I need to draw Cradle off this, though. That wasn't Cradle. I'm pretty sure there is just literally nothing I can do right now. Without the Leyline to gain extra life. Yeah, there's nothing in there. There's A, not a Scavenging Ooze in my deck, B, no creatures in the graveyard, and C, I won't have mana to activate it, even if I did. So yeah, I'm just getting shotgun blasted by the Merit Lage here. Alright. Faster combo decks. Yeah, faster combo decks are the bane of Elves. And that particular lands draw was a faster combo deck. All right, so a 3-2 with Elves, respectable 3-2. We had some good games. We had some games where we got absolutely slaughtered. I actually think that went pretty well overall. We showcased what the deck is good at and what it's bad at. Plague Engineer, actually, this particular build, we beat several Plague Engineers, no problem. I don't think we lost to anyone who had Plague Engineer. We lost to the people who had Umezawa's Jitte and Merit Lage. But that's Elves. You can build your deck with cards like Run Afoul that can answer Merit Lage. There are things you can do if that's part of your metagame that you expect. I honestly think that we are winning that lands matchup if they even had a turn 3 Merit Lage. Like, I think we could have strung something together with another turn, but just being dead turn 2 on the play, or them killing us on their third turn on the play, no good. So, is what it is. Chris, thanks for the deck. Sorry we couldn't keep the trophy league alive, but I had fun. I do love Elves. Allosaurus Shepherd is pretty messed up. We didn't play against a lot of blue decks, so I'm not sure how good it actually was, though that's the trick with Allosaurus Shepherd. You play it and you're never quite sure how good it is because your opponent can't cast the spells in their hand, and that's why it's good. So maybe it was great. It's hard to tell. But sweet deck, always love Elves, love Allosaurus Shepherd. Thanks again for the deck. Anyone wants me to play their deck, just get in touch with me. My contact info is in the video description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.